This movie does a good job showing in front of the camera and behind the camera of what these pilots go through. But heavy pilots are a lot more chillax. Chase Liaki here with the Blue Futon reviewing The Blue Angels. What's up? Pretty simple premise. It's a documentary that's produced by J.J. Abrams as well as Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell, he's in Twisters. He was in Devotion. He was in Everyone Wants Some. He's in Hitman that's coming out on Netflix in 7 June, if I'm mistaken. Also, Top Gun Maverick, and will probably be in Top Gun Maverick 3. But this is, I would say, his dream project to make a movie about this, because from what I'm hearing about this, ever since he was a kid, he always wanted to be a Blue Angel, a pilot. And I know a lot of people like that, where they want to be pilots, but they either grow too big, can't fit in the cockpit. They realize the G-forces are just too much for them. And it is a stringent job. It really is. But I think this movie does a good job showing what the Blue Angels go through during the fights, during the testing, as well as some of the people in the background, which I do wish they focused some on that, because the jets do not fly if those enlisted personnel don't do their jobs. So I think if they would have went more into detail of like what they have to do with the mechanisms, the mechanics, what they have to do with the planes, that would be a little bit interesting. But I understand they're trying to go with the pilots, the stringent schedules they have, what each number means, and how each year new pilots do come into play. So when talking about the positives of the movie, the cinematography, the shooting, the camera movement, everything about this IMAX looks great. I mean, they got some great butt footage. I'm saying this is G-rated, so no cussing on this one, people, but it looked fantastic. It was about an hour 35, 40 minutes. It went by pretty quick. This is a good introduction into people that don't know the military. And what I mean by that, they talk about, selection, command selection, choosing these people, the enlisted side, the officer side, the secret handshakes that they do, going inside these buildings, which I'll say one thing, Navy, you gotta get some MILCOM money and upgrade those buildings. Come on now. I know you could do a little bit better. Dorms are a huge thing right now, and the Army dorms are, ooh, buddy. But that's a different subject. All right. But with the Blue Angels, I think they did a good job with the interviewing the people, the family members, the enlisted members, and everything involved. I do think it's very tight niche, and they do exactly what this movie is supposed to do. And I think the best thing about this movie, it shows, what goes on, like I said before, or what goes on in front of the camera and behind the camera, and people that can't make it to these air shows. Because even though I think it's like 32 to 35 cities they go to, they can't go to everyone. They can't go to like Omaha, Nebraska all the time. They can't go to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. They can't go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, Denver, Colorado, somewhere, Boise, Idaho, New York, Maine. And so they can't go to all these sites. So seeing this movie does a good job of knowing what is happening with these pilots. It's a very simple review because it's simplistic. We're following these people for a year, their training schedule, and it's in a very quick timeline. Boom, boom, wham, bam, thank you, man. It's also looking at what these new pilots, what they have to go through for, the G-force and everything like that. And KBR, I bet you they were so damn happy. They're like, oh, we get to be in here. Because they also have, different, cap programs, log cap, AF cap. Maybe they have the Navy one as well, but you have these big defense or government contractors like that. Amentum, who do we have here? Of course, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. Let's see who else. Raytheon. We have Vectrus or V2X. We have all these different companies that do a lot of business with the government. And I'm pretty sure they're like, yes, we get some nice footage with this of what we actually do to help the government. Negative, you could say, like I said a little bit, I wish they focused a little bit on the enlisted side, because like I said, they do a lot. They truly do a lot. They are there before the pilots, they are there after the pilots to make sure the planes work. And I do like that they did show I think it was the C-130. I'm horrible with the name of the planes. I know it's the F-16 that they're flying, but the Marines that fly the heavies, and the heavy pilots are a lot more chill. I could promise you that. And, being the nuts to butts on these plane crafts. And I think that is something to show the people that haven't been in the military to kind of know what craziness we go to, because not everything is Lone Survivor, not everything is Covenant, not everything is Top Gun, not everything, you know, is like that. You could say, yeah, Zero Dark 30 does a good job, and this is a good job of showing what it really is. And a lot of the military is sitting meetings, meetings for meetings, sit and wait, more meetings. All right, let's go through what we went through. And I've talked to a lot of pilots too. They are maybe in the air for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and the rest of the time they're on the ground doing the debriefings, doing all this stuff, and it is exhausting overall. So I think this is a good movie that is going to be on Amazon Prime. 23 million, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Mad Max Furiosa is going to take over all the IMAX screenings that weekend. So they did a good 1 week screening. So it's kind of sharing with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now I am intrigued of what the box office is going to be, because my theater at 11 a.m. was pretty packed. So I could see this hitting 1 or 2 million this weekend. And that's pretty solid for a movie that had really no budget for marketing. So overall, The Blue Angels, it's a good documentary for people who want to know a little bit more about the Blue Angels. I am curious, though, what do you think is better, the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels? Because I've done some things with the Thunderbirds and prima donnas. I'm sorry, not all of them. I'm going to say not all fighter pilots are prima donnas, but yeah. So the Blue Angels will receive a 4.5 out of 5 with Futon. So it goes at 90%. So see the critics' news scores gave this one. So we have critics at 80% with 10 of them. Audience score at 99% with over 50. Looks like we have no critic consensus. And I'm curious about the 2 negative Nancys with the critics. What do we got? We have, when it's up in the air, it does soar. Well, I guess they don't want to understand what's happening on the ground. And I can understand that, because it can be freaking boring. And then RogerEbert.com, this movie is an ad for the Blue Angels, the Navy planes, the military generally, and on a graph-based sense of patriotism. I mean, why not? I mean, recruitment is low, and even though it's an ad for the Blue Angels, there's 3,700 pilots in the Navy. 6 of them get to become the Blue Angels. And this movie shows the rigorous process of becoming the number 1 plane, or even becoming a number 2 through 6 plane. So is it an ad? Sure. But what air show isn't? I don't know. I feel like some of these critics just have too much sticks in their booty hole. So we have 80, 90, 99. Chase Scott here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. No things Bhutontopia. You Blue Tony's. Thank you for watching. Great down. Can watch today, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, every single freaking one of you. So what is better, Thunderbirds or Blue Angels? Let me know.